I'm going to answer one question which have been asked by someone who applied for the Green Card Lottery. But this question have been coming over and over, either through comments or whether through WhatsApp or whether through my Facebook. So I think it will be a better way to go to these most frequently asked questions. So instead of going to respond to each individual person, it will be better to respond all these questions in the form of a question, and it will be easier for you to understand so that you can make it easier. And the question is, what if you are married, but your marriage is a traditional marriage, meaning you don't have marriage certificate from the government or from a recognized institution? What are you going to do? Or you have been living with a woman for over 10 years, and basically you believe is your wife, you pay with the dowry or bride price, the family of the woman knows you that you are the husband, but you didn't go to church, you didn't go to the mosque, you didn't go to the government office for the wedding, marriage, and you don't have the marriage certificate or rather marriage license. What happens if you win a Green Card Lottery and you are in that situation? Welcome everyone, this is Ernest Boniface Makulilo EBM himself, here to respond to all these very important questions which can be able to guide you what you need to do into that particular situation. So, number one, we know that each country has different regulations or laws when it comes to marriage, what is identified as marriage. Some countries you must go to be having a ceremony or something officiated by certain individuals. So some countries, they acknowledge the traditional marriage because there are chiefs or local authorities have that power to officiate that one. There are some countries, those kind of marriage are not recognized by law, but you can recognize them in your tribe or in your community. It's allowed to do that. But there are certain places where, for instance, in Tanzania, by law, if you live with a woman for over 6 months, that woman, by law, becomes your wife. So there are various regulations, each country. But remember, when it comes to the Green Card Lottery, we don't follow the law of your country. We follow the American law because you are coming to America. And when it comes to the issue of marriage, it is very, very critical because there are some of the tax implication and the certain benefits which are involved around when you are saying you are married. So there are certain entitlements, there are certain benefits when you say you are married. So in order to prove that you are married, you have to prove in American context. You don't need to prove in your own traditional life or your country, whatever. So there are certain ways. So there are certain documents you need to have to prove that you are married. So in American context, let's say we all know Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. They used to be boyfriend and girlfriend. They lived together for over 10 years, but they were not married until later they got married. I don't know, now they have divorced. But my point is, all those like 10 years they've been together, living in the same house, by law, they are not husband and wife. So you have to know that. That is America. So don't bring Tanzanian law, don't bring Kenyan law that have been living with this woman. We have 5 kids together. So by implicity, this is my wife. Yes, it might be say your wife when you talk to your father-in-law and the other people, but in American eyes, even if you live with a woman for 50 years, as long as you are not married, you are not husband and wife. So let's start with that one. It has to be, that's the reality. And to prove that you are married, you need to have a marriage certificate or marriage license. So in many countries, which I know, African countries, Asian countries, the marriage certificate, there is a government department which is dealing with the registration of death, marriage, people are born, like birth certificate, death certificate, even marriage certificate, all those, some of the countries, they are in one department. So whether you get married to church, whether you get married to the mosque, whether you get married to the regional commissioner or district commissioner, the government, local government office, the county office, the government, they use the same certificate. So the certificate which is issued by the church or the mosque usually is the same certificate, comes from the government because it has to be registered to the government. So whether you have traditional marriage, there is no problem. But as long as you don't have the marriage certificate from the government, how can the US Embassy, how can the consular officer believe that that is your wife? How can you prove? To prove, you have to bring the government documentation. It's just like if someone is has passed away, has died. You cannot say, oh, I know he's dead, but where is the death certificate? And the death certificate is not just a message from a neighbor that later, oh, this one died on this day. No, you need to have a marriage, the death certificate, just like how people are doing when they come to process if someone, family member passed away, how they are going to distribute the wealth. They have to get the death certificate, and not the words from the neighbor, not the video of the burial ceremony, not a picture, whatever is. They don't care about those things. They care about the death certificate, which is issued by the government. So if you have applied for the green card lottery and you said you are married, and if you don't have the marriage certificate, you have to go and get the marriage certificate from the government, because you will not be given the visa. You cannot prove this is your wife or this is your husband without the marriage certificate. That's very key. So, but this is how the question will be. Another question will be, but I've been living like married in traditional way with this woman for 8 years. So, but if I go to get the certificate, which date will be included here? So what you have to do is you have to talk to the government. The government, they know whether if they recognize that one, they'll give the certificate with the date which was officially your husband and wife. But even if they give you the certificate for today, that your husband and wife from today, there is no problem. When you go to the US Embassy, to the consular officer, you will say, on the traditional way, I've been married to my wife for all this time, but I got a certificate on this day. So even if I applied in October, I said I'm married because I was married on the traditional marriage, but I didn't have the certificate. I got the certificate maybe in March. But there is no problem with that one. But don't apply as married while you are 100% single. No, that will be very, is lying, and you will be terminated, you will be disqualified from the lottery even if you have won. So that is something I want to make it clear for you to understand. There is no problem, but you need to have the marriage certificate so that you can be able to prove that you are married. Without that one, you will be wasting your time. They will deny you to come with your wife, to come with your spouse in the United States of America. Any question up to that moment? Make sure you have that document. Without that document, you'll be having a very hard time. You need to have that one to prove that you are married. Yeah. Proof of marriage is the marriage certificate. So if you are traditional married, be careful on that one. You need to have the documentation to prove that. So get from the government. For instance, Tanzania, they have RITA, which is agency which is dealing with the registration for life, birth, death, all those kind of marriage. So the certificate comes from RITA. If you go to Uganda, you go to Kenya, you go to Nigeria, you go to Senegal, you go to any other country, they have a specific department in the government which deals with that. So thank you, everyone, and I hope you keep subscribing to my channel and share the videos to so many other people. Okay? Goodbye, everyone, and all the best in waiting for your results.